Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the group. I'm Rachel Arazo, and this is the fourth day of the Create a Musical Tarot Deck Challenge. I hope you guys are having just as much as fun as I am. And today, we're going to be talking about lyrics and instruments. We're going to actually start putting some things to the melodies, things that you might have already heard before. That'll make it a lot easier for you to relate. So let me refresh, make sure that I'm live. Make sure it's working. Yes, it's working. And it's still fuzzy. I don't know why it's fuzzy. Because on my end, when I look at the camera, it's just fine. The internet's fine. Maybe it's something funky with Facebook. I'm not sure. But it's been running pretty well, so I'm not sure. Oh, well, once you get here, give me a hi or a like or a heart or something. Let me know that you can see me and hear me just fine. This is tad crooked. There we go. It's an Anna. Hi, Anna. I know it's a little fuzzy for some reason. I think it's something with Facebook because it was fine for me. It's fine when I look at the camera right here. I'm not sure what's up. But I hope you're doing wonderfully. Yeah, I'm a little blurry. I don't know why. I don't know. It's funky. Whatever. It happens. I'm not going to worry about it. And the internet here is fine too, so I'm not sure what's up. But today we're going to be talking about lyrics and instruments. This is going to be fun. Now, I know yesterday and today, you weren't here yesterday, Anna, but as people come up in the chat, let me know, did you look at those songs that I put up? Because the songs today we're really going to talk about, so while we wait for everybody to come in, even if you listen to a small clip of the songs, so you understand what I'm talking about, that'd be really good. And for those of you that can't hear very well, you'll notice anyway in the videos by the attitude of the people, or some of them are all done by one person or by a group of people, how it layers. So you should still be able to benefit. Anna says, okay, disturbing for you, got in from the laundry, so still panting, trying to catch my breath. You're okay. Breathe. No, my energy was running low. Yes, I did listen to them before I finished the laundry thingy. Yeah, the one for today, yeah, is super, super fun. For those that don't know, yesterday I posted some examples, but especially today, because we're talking about music and lyrics and instruments, I posted Smooth McGroove, who is a wonderful guy who does acapellas on YouTube. He did a version of the Tetris theme. So it shows him doing all the different parts. I posted Van Canto's Last Night of the Kings, so you can see an a cappella group do it all together. The March of the Siamese Children from The King and I, the musical, and a specific scene from School of Rock with Jack Black. Not the musical. The musical's funky. Yes, his cat he makes appearances in all of his videos. And it's funny. Actually, he has a girl cat because his beard is so long. There's been a couple times looking at the video where she'll just peek her head through the beard and just be sitting here. And he's just smiling like, okay, I guess this is happening. It's super fun. But definitely check him out. He's wonderful. He's a little woo-woo himself, but he does a lot of video game acapellas. We'll give it another 2 minutes to see if anybody else shows up. Van Canto is very fun. Yeah. We're gonna talk about especially layering lyrics and instruments and voices today. So it's really fun for an a cappella group when they can imitate different instruments and everything like that. Usually people hear of pentatonics, just a group of 5 people on YouTube. I think 2 of them are girls, and they do that as well. And people are always amazed. It's super fun doing that kind of stuff. But they have that very Viking, medieval sound to them. It's wonderful. I love it. Okay. Well, we will get started anyway. So, like I said, today we're going to be talking about lyrics and instruments. And everybody may, this isn't as complicated as it was yesterday with the note progressions and the numerology, which, yay to all of you did wonderful for that. Because I know it was a little hard to understand. But today should be much simpler because we all know words and we know what different sounds sound like. So, every tarot card comes with keywords, right? We associate different keywords to remember different cards. So because today we're focusing on the suit of wands, let's do some wands examples. So the 3 of wands usually is looking back towards the past. It's we're flickering again. I don't know what's up. It might be my internet. Where it's also expansion and moving forward. It's the number 3, like we learned yesterday with numerology, how 3 is also very nurturing. So it's kind of moving forward, but also being very kind about it. You're being gentle to yourself in remembrance. Then, for another example, we have the 5 of wands, which is usually arguments and fighting. Literally the inspiration for the Rider-Waite-Smith version. Pamela Coleman Smith, the artist for the deck, would go to the countryside with her friend, and she took inspiration for that card from watching people fight over how to put up a tent. So if it looks like they're putting up a tent, that's literally what they're doing. They're preparing for the 4 of wands, where it looks like, like Beltane with all the maypoles and everything. And then we have my best buddy, even though he's not, the King of Wands. He, for example, a lot of times people are like, he's very creative, he's very passionate, very fiery, he has a bit of a temper. I usually think of him as that boss from Office Space that's a bit of an asshole. He's like, yeah, if you could come in, that'd be great. Him. I can't stand the King of Wands because of that, but it's just because of the deck I have. He has a smirk like that. So, we remember when people try to pick up cards for the first time, like tarot cards, and memorize them, that's usually what they do, is they memorize keywords first. You can do this in a different way when it comes to music. Let's see. I apologize for the background. And it says, oh, like a cappella, listen to Peter Holland's Home Free, and of course Pentatonics, yes. Especially while Avi Kaplan was still with them. I definitely will. That sounds awesome. And it also says, yes, I heard about the different stories and how there's art taken from different places where she loved to be. Yes, if you want to do that, I have the book. Where is it? Ha 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 ha! Secrets of the Waite-Smith Tarot. I actually go over this a little bit in the tarot course in the academy. I give you guys some inside info from this book. Definitely pick it up. It's super, super good. And it gives a lot of that background info for her. Like, she's a theater nut. And a lot of her stuff comes from theater as well. So it's super fun. So, when we read a card intuitively, even if we don't memorize keywords, the image on the card may bring up a word or a phrase that comes to mind. When I first started learning, it would bring up, the imagery itself would bring up songs in my head, where I would think of the music video, or I'd think of the situation in the song, and it would bring that to mind for me. So, it's very much kind of like songwriting. Now, today, I thought it was funny. I didn't think about it until right before the stream. But I shared a video of a workshop Elton John did where he just asked somebody for a book and he came up with the melody underneath. And he just started singing based off of the words. That's pretty much what we're going with today, is sometimes we can't base ourselves just off the melody for trying to figure out the meaning of a song. A lot of us go to the words first, because that's, if you're not musically trained, that's what you hear first, are the words, and you relate to the words. So, in songwriting, typically the melody's first. Like that scene in 101 Dalmatians, where he's like, melody first, my dear, and then the lyric. But sometimes it's the opposite for other people, where they just want to put words to something and in order to be able to express it, you know? So when it comes to a reading, how to base this tarot cards, usually people focus on what is the image I'm going to do before laying down the card stock and getting the meanings in here and everything like that. This is the opposite. If you have what the card wants to portray for you, then you put the art to fit with it. You know, sometimes it works that way. So, for example, one way that this happened with music is if you pay attention to the song When a Man Loves a Woman by Percy Sledge. It's very soulful. He's talking about how when a man loves a woman, he doesn't focus on anything else. She could be the worst person in the world, spend all of his money, and he won't care because he loves her. And it's funny, I have a quote here from an interview that he did, where basically when the song first came up, he was getting ready to do a show, and he got really upset about a breakup. His girlfriend broke up with him. And he asked his bandmates to just play this slow bluesy tune, just so he could get it out. And he just came up with the words on the spot, was trying to put words to what he was feeling. And that's how the song was born. It had a different name at first, but they took it in the back and they edited it and they recorded it, and it came out to be When a Man Loves a Woman. And it's a really beautiful song. You can feel how sad he is, but he made it up on the spot. He just improv'd it because he had all these words and these emotions in his head and just asked somebody else, just play me something so I can get all this out so we can go on with the show. And I thought that was wonderful because when we think of words, words are super powerful. Keywords for images and for music and even dance are super, super powerful as well. So when we have somebody who just needs to purge it, that can be such a raw and powerful experience. And that can be when you think of a concept or the words to what you want to say before you can do anything else, you know? Let's see. I see here. And it says, yes, I heard about the different stories, how his art is taken from different places where she lived used to be, yeah. Oh, that was on my wish list. Just went through one of my bookshelves and it was creaking full. Well, I got you another book that you can get. Peer Gynt. Yes, it was from Peer Gynt, the Elton John bit. Look it up, those of you watching the replay, or come into the group and find that video. He was doing a scene from Peer Gynt. And it says there are words create our realities in ways we don't always think of. Exactly. So when it comes to, sometimes it's okay to put into words the concept of what you want for your deck or your reading or trying to understand a card. It's okay to do that. You don't have to go with creating the melody first and then adding the words to it later. You can start vice versa. So if we take a look at yesterday's songs. Yesterday, I gave a list of songs for people to go ahead and listen to help them with the understanding of note progression and seeing numbers as they watch the keyboards go through. So again, for the Book of Mormon, that was the very first one, very first opening song, Hello. A group of young missionaries is going door to door, spreading the word about their religion. So the song is super welcoming. We went over how the chords are consistently in threes, so it gives that empress nurturing side to it, even when they're talking about do this so you don't go to hell. There's a specific section, if you watch, for example, the Tony Awards version, there's this guy that comes in and who just makes it up off the spot. And it's just like, do you want a free book written by Jesus? When that's not the truth. That's on a completely different thing. He speaks it and it's super choppy and it doesn't flow with anything else for a reason, you know? It's supposed to stand out and be funky. So, the song is sung about a group, and it talks in we consistently throughout the lyric, and it always talks about collections, such as it's a book about America a long time ago, so it's still basing itself off that community aspect when it does go into four chords. The next example, if we look at the Pokemon theme song, I showed you guys on the sheet music, and I broke it down for you, how this song is basically talking about personal achievement and striving for things. He wants to be the very best Pokemaster. That's the whole concept of the show. That's all Ash Ketchum wants to do, is just be the very best. And he wants to catch all the Pokemon, and then as a team, they're going to be the best in the region, you know? So it's all about learning from each other, going back and forth. So we saw that in the note progression, how it goes like that. And the words express it the exact same way. It goes back and forth in give and take, an energy exchange. Super awesome. There's a balance. Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. We talked about how it was about a fire, and it's constantly going 1-1-4 for the note progression, because they're going to try to find stability. They're going to try to find another place for their venue for them to perform. So as we go through it, even in the lyrics, if you actually look up the lyrics, it tells the entire story, and it's naming off different bands and artists that went through the exact same thing in the story that they're seeing in front of their eyes. You just can't half hear it sometimes through the actual song by the way he sings it. So when we break it down by lyric and you look it up separately, this is really important to how a song will mean to you. I know every time that I fall in love with a song, I listen to it on repeat until I know everything, and then I also look up the lyrics and I read them over and over and over and over again. Because that's how I am. That's how I put them into, when I'm in this specific mood, this song goes there. And things like that. So does that make sense for how the lyrics match what we talked about yesterday with the tones and the different songs? Let's see. And it says, yep, I've been forced to see enough Pokemon to at least catch that about Ash. Exactly. Daughter has a bunch of those cards as well as watching the movies. Yeah, I grew up with that. I remember going to go see the very first Pokemon movie. And even playing the video games now, people who still play, it's still this matter of, I want to be the best at this. I want the best relationship with my pet. I want the best relationship with other people around me. I want to save the world. It's about achievement. Let me know if it's flashing for you, because I'm seeing the video flash over here for me. And it says my daughter's about the same way. She listens to her favorite songs until she knows them. Yeah, because it's sometimes just the easiest way that you could figure it out, you know? But let me know if it's flashing for you guys. Is the screen okay? Let me see. No, my chords are okay. Does flashing from time to time. I don't know what's up with this. I will do some research and see why that's happening. Because it's super fine on my end. It's stable. Let me see. Do I need to call Comcast and cuss them out today. I don't know. I'll run a speed test, see what's up. But to continue, ooh, that's why it's dipping. Okay, so it is on my end. I will get that fixed by tomorrow. I don't know what's going on with Comcast. So, moving on. Instruments, just like vocals, can change the perception of a song or a character that comes up. Because it can layer a song depending on the instruments that you include. So, for example, we typically have 4 sections when we think of an orchestra or when we think of music. We have the brass, which literally is instruments made originally from brass. So your trumpets, your trombones, your tubas, your French horns, they're usually something that you blow air into it while going with your mouth at the exact same time. Your saxophones, sousaphones, anything you blow air into that is made of brass or metal. That's the brass section. We have our strings, which literally is compiled of wood and string, a lot of the times horsehair as well. And those are our violins, our cellos, our fiddles, basses, pianos count in the string section because when you open up the piano, there are strings on the inside being hit with a mallet. Harps. Yeah, anything with strings is in the string section. Our winds are different than brass. Our wind instruments are normally lighter, or they're made out of wood or some kind of bone. And you sometimes don't blow directly into it. Like a trumpet usually has a mouthpiece that your lips are right up against, whereas wind instruments like a clarinet has a reed that you blow into super gentle. The flute, you don't even put your mouth on it, you from the side. You have your oboes, things that are more lighter sounding, typically are in the winds. Percussion instruments is the very last one, and that is our boom, boom, boom. That's our drums and our rhythmics. Our xylophones are in there. Anything you hit with a mallet, typically is in the percussion section. We have our cymbals, timpani, which are the big drums. Our steel Caribbean drums are in the drum section. There's all kinds of different ones. And this spans across all kinds of different cultures, even though there are some different instruments within different ones. So, these are our 4 base. And already we can see a similarity that if you want to include these in your any kind of deck you're doing, if you decide to make an instrument-based deck, you could easily do fire for the brass, because it's much harsher sounding, swords for the winds, strings for water, and percussion for earth, because all together you make a beautiful orchestra that can create some very wonderful sounds. And depending on the number of instruments you have, that depends on the amount of sound quality you'll have. So, even before lyrics became popular, we used instruments instead to portray characters and their moods. Let's see, there were comments. And it says, oh, I've seen how the different types of instruments were linked to different elements, but I can't remember how right now. Yeah, so that's one thing you can do, is sit down and figure out how it would work for you. And it says, I played the flute when I was a kid, still do sometimes, don't know the name, but it's more related to the Irish tin flutes. Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, if you guys play an instrument, seriously pop it below, because I know I like guitar, which is a string instrument. I know a little bit. I know more piano than I know guitar. I know a very little violin, but I'm mostly... I guess you could consider the human body a string instrument because we have our vocal cords. I'm a master human player. That's me. Yes, Anna, you're reading my mind here. You must be psychic. She says, yeah, come to think of Peter and the Wolf, a musical saga my mom used to play for her daycare kids. Yep. That's exactly what I was going to mention. There's a version of Peter and the Wolf where it's puppets, I believe, where it's done nothing nothing but an instrument. So I remember sitting in kindergarten watching this, and the grandfather being the oboe, Peter being the flute, something in the brass section for, it might have been a tuba for the wolf, but all the different characters, when they talked, it would be the music playing. It would be the sound of that instrument going, to give the tone of voice. And each character, because it was a different instrument, it made it very clear even for children to understand who to pay attention to, because when they came onto the set or onto the screen, that instrument would play. We think about this even in modern day, we do this. Before Darth Vader ever talks, we hear the boom, 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 ba-dum, boom, ba-dum. We hear his music. So anytime he's mentioned, even in the prequel movies, which are debatable about their goodness, when Anakin Skywalker starts feeling that hate and starts feeling that anger and that frustration, we hear the boom, boom, boom in the background. So we know, ooh, shit, he's turning into Vader. We link it with music because, and it's funny, any movie you watch or even any play that you go see, the instruments that are used, and even sometimes the words, if there's lyrics, it's usually just instruments, are influencers of your mood. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, how it can seem like a little bit of subliminal messaging when we break it down with numerology and the note progressions, but it's even more so when it comes to instruments influencing our mood. That's why sad movies use a lot of strings. Or if you think of Psycho, and we have very, very harsh violin, high-pitched noise. It's supposed to make you stand on edge for a good reason. We think of Jaws. Bottom, bottom. It's the brass and the percussion going bottom underneath, and it's super low and deep. The shark doesn't have to talk. But you know he's there because the sound comes in. And it's the same thing with your cards. If the King of Wands were to walk into a room, what instrument would play for him? And if you can't think of an instrument, what singer would be the King of Wands for you? When they come into the room and exude that presence of all those keywords that you've memorized, or all those things that your intuition tells you, what plays? Because that's going to influence their stance. That's going to influence everything about them. Hi, Lisa! Oh, Lisa said piano. I remember that one too, exactly. And it says exactly, it's been so long since I've forgotten, maybe 40 years back or so, says something about my age. I remember it, it's still valid. I'd be surprised if they weren't listening to Peter and the Wolf, the instrumental version, in kindergarten anymore. So, another thing to keep in mind here, in today's sections of songs that I shared for you, one of them is from The King and I. And I remember paying attention so much when I was a kid to this specific scene that I shared with you guys. It's when Anna meets the children for the first time, because she's going to Siam to go and teach the king's children. When they all walk out for the first time, the way that the instruments are played says a little about their personality. It starts off really soft because it's all the little kids coming out and they walk very tiny. When the twins come out, you can hear the instruments double themselves, and then they go back to single when a single child walks out. Then the son comes out. You can tell who is the heir to the throne because the brass picks up and the cymbals are going and it's BAM! And it's more punchy. You can also tell how that influences his walk, because you can watch his heel hitting the ground every time it goes BOOM! BOOM! Over and over and over again. So you can tell by just watching it even, what kind of sound would come with it. It's super poppy. And then when you see the little kid at the very, very end, because it crescendos and comes back down to a decrescendo, when the little kid comes back, the youngest child, she goes up and it's super light flute, and she tugs on the king's leg. It's like, pay attention to me. I'm going to bow. Did I do a good job bowing? He says, yes, you did. Go ahead. So you can tell the instruments slightly change with each child that comes in. And it's another subtle way, even when an entire orchestra is occupied, to pay attention to how it changes with each character that comes on screen. Does that make sense? True, and the air around him was, I'm the air, yes. You could tell from his stance and the way his shoulders were back, and on every beat he hit the ground, and then he bowed and came back up, and it was all quick movements because it was in time with the music. That says a lot about his character still, because this is somebody who was on point. He is traditional. He does not flow from anything else because he is in with the music. It makes a big difference. So, what was the next one? I'm looking at my notes. So I'm on track. But yeah, like I said, the smaller the character, usually the lighter the music or the lighter the instrument is. So it goes to the winds and the flute. Very, very quiet when it's a small child. So layering the instruments on top of each other gives an importance to how big the character is. And even their numbered rhythms, their tones, everything like that can create a story. So today's video from School of Rock, if you haven't seen this movie or heard of the musical, I'm sad they made it a musical. It was fine as a movie. Jack Black, a comedian in the United States, basically he's pretending to be a substitute teacher for this boarding school, but he really wants to be in a band, and he got kicked out of a band. He realized that the students that he's teaching in the school all know how to play instruments from band class. So he brings in all of his instruments, that entire scene, he brings them in, sets it up, and has these kids try these instruments for the first time. So he has the kid come in with the electric guitar, who's never played it before, and he plays something first from all these different songs. And of course it's Jack Black, so he's over the top and he's expressive and and he's a dork. But the kid does it just fine. And then he brings in somebody who's never played the keyboard, and he plays the keyboard and he does the song just fine. And he starts it after everybody has their instrument, he starts layering it. He goes to the piano and says, okay, give me a third, and then give me a fifth. Well, give me a fifth and then give me a third and get rid of the third and start bouncing it. Goes to the bass player, I need you to do what I just taught you again and layer it. Go to the drummist, go on the cymbal. Go to the guitarist, hey, remember what I taught you here? And he starts layering the instruments. And each sound adds to the song until we realize he's doing Deep Purple. He's doing Smoke on the Water. And then he goes off on a riff and starts getting super excited. So that gives a perfect example of different layers to a character. So if we take example, the Five of Wands. If it was just one person standing there trying to put all these sticks together, it would give more of a Ten of Wands vibe, where one person's carrying this burden. So if we just have the piano, it's just one person giving a note. Then we add in the bass player, so another person is trying to help out and get this tent put together according to the Five of Wands. Then we bring in the drummist, and then we have another one. We're starting to make some music here. It doesn't sound just like chaos anymore. Then we bring in the guitarist, and we bring in another guitar, and now we have 5 people creating something, albeit a little messy, We're creating something here, and they're trying to collaborate together to make something good. Does that make sense? Let's see. Off topic, but daughter says she likes your earrings. Oh, thank you. I'm glad she does. It's interesting with the layering. It's like making a tiramisu. Or, again, that scene from Ratatouille that I love so much where he's just like, here's the cheese and it gives a certain beat, and then here's a grape and it gives a different thing. Combine them together and it makes music. Same thing with a tarot card. The different layers within the tarot card, the different colors that go over, the different characters you see, all create a beautiful harmony together. And it makes it so much more cohesive, and it lights our intuition up so much more. So probably the next time you listen to music, you're going to be thinking, ooh, look at that layer. Ooh, this came in. Ooh, that came in. Ooh, this one's moving on a different beat now to give a different thing. How do I feel? What's the difference I feel here? Exact same thing. So this one's a lot more intuitive today. Makes all the sense you're saying. Awesome. So let's keep talking about this. Let's keep going then. Because we can tell a story, just like in a tarot spread, how I told you guys how to intuitively read tarot. Sometimes the easiest thing you can do is to read a spread like a story. See how the different cards are interacting with each other. Who's looking at who has different clothing than who, the colors that are similar, the landscape that's similar in the setting, things like that. Music is the exact same way, and how layering it and comparing each of the different sounds to each other can create a beautiful story. So another video I shared with you guys today was Van Canto doing The Last Night of the Kings. Acapella is a type of music where it's just vocalists and there's no instruments. The vocalists do the instruments themselves. So usually we have multiple parts. I've done it. It's super fun when you do this. And they're usually singing something different at the exact same time. And there's all these different layers to it. So even if you watch the music video, they're just sitting around a campfire telling this story about this castle about to be ambushed in the middle of a party. And you can hear doom, 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 all the different voices going off at the same time. And they all hum together when it comes to a lyric. You hear the voice, the female voice come in a teensy bit, and then a little bit more, and then it builds to a crescendo, and they all emphasize the volume together. It creates a wonderful layering. And it tells a story, because they're not even using instruments, except for themselves, to give suspense, to show when the story is just starting and it crescendos and then it goes back down, you know? So think about, in a basic sense, if you have a very minimalist deck that doesn't give you very much, how each of the different things on the cards themselves layer it. If you have just a deck that gives a card with 8 pentacles on it, and then there's nothing else, what could you get from that? How layered are they? That amount of detail to go into one card requires work from somebody. So that can help you intuit the card a little bit more, just by seeing how many layers it goes into it. And the same thing with Smooth McGroove, the video that I also put up, the very first one. Smooth McGroove does video game interpretations. He takes songs from Zelda and Tetris and Skyrim and video games. A lot of old school video games, majority of the time. And he does all the parts himself. And you can see he's got boxes and boxes of videos where they're all layered together. And you can see each one doing something different in a different tone. And if you pay attention to just one, you'll get the melody that that one is doing. Exact same way. If you pay attention to one isolated part of a tarot card, like the color, that can tell you a certain part of the story. Then combine it with the direction that the character's facing. Then combine it with what they're wearing. Then combine it with the expression on their face. Then the background. And then the more components that you bring into it, you have this beautiful story playing out in front of you. And now you have a cacophony of sound to go with it. So even if you can't actually hear it very well, you can see all these people playing together. It's the same occurrence comes up in a bunch of different things. I was tempted to give you guys the song After Ever After, where this guy does, in realism, the five Disney princesses, and he does it a cappella, and it's just him doing these different parts. But I didn't do that one. I picked Smooth McGroove instead. So we have that example if you want to look that up. He has two different ones. I was just thinking of one. We can see this a lot of the time just in art if we take away the music aspect, like surrealism, with the two hands that are drawing each other. That's a very beautiful one. We take that scene from The Labyrinth where the main character is chasing down David Bowie, and it's just all these different stairs, and she's chasing the baby. So many layers of things are on top of each other that it makes it into a cohesive look. And it's supposed to be confusing, and it's actually based off of a painting, and it's beautiful. But it gives a certain vibe to it, you know? And it says, how you teach the intuitive way of reading Totoro. Yes. Lisa says, what a wonderful way to describe how to build depth into your readings intuitively. Time to pay more attention to the little details. Exactly. Because the killer is always in the details. You always look at the tiny, tiny things. And that's how you get such a wonderful appreciation for it. And that's how you just feel so much more vibrant about your practice, and that's how you include so much more about yourself. Because think about this with taking away Taro and taking away music and all that in general. Think of it with a magical working. I wanted to create something I lit a candle for feeling love over there. It's on fire. It's hopefully okay. I had an apricot rose pink candle that I wanted to use. I felt like lighting a candle. So I was like, I guess I'll go with a love thing. So I got my little jar that I light all of my stuff in, and I put the pink candle in it, and it's a red jar. So keeping with the theme, I put down some moonstone and some clear quartz and some rose quartz, and I have citrine over there and some hematite and some black moonstone, and I have it all sitting around it. And then I lit the candle and did my thing with my pearl pendulum. And I have all these wonderful layers. Then I was like, on top of that, let me pull out my cards and say, give me a card's energy that I want to evoke here. And I put the card there. I created all these wonderful layers just to bring love and all that kind of stuff into my life today. Something really easy and really simple. That the killer is in the details. All the little things added up into a wonderful little thing to do. So, today, we're going to do this with the suit of wands, because the suit of wands gives a lot of layers. As we add more wands into the mix, that's where the story changes. Okay, so we start off with one and we have pure masculine power. We add another one. Okay, now I have 2 roads to go down. Add another one. Okay, I've went down that road, but now I'm looking back because I have to pick up another wand. 4, okay, now I can make a canopy, and I can hang these beautiful things up and celebrate. 5, okay, I gotta add another person in the mix, so there's some arguing and there's some back and forth. 6, yay, celebration, I'm on a horse, everybody's happy with me. 7, okay, I'm on the defensive a little bit because so many people are working with me, so everybody's ganging up on me. 8, all my power is going towards one direction. 9, I got beat up a little bit when all that power went towards one direction, mainly my face. So now I'm going to stand here and defend all my wands, because screw everybody else, but I'm going to be a little beat up. And then 10, now I have to carry all these wands home. You know, it layers and layers and layers. So as you go through the minor arcana especially, it gives a layer and a layer and a layer the more of that element you add, you know? So think of it like that when you create your songs today. If I were to take a song and then add some more fire to it, or whatever you associate with the suit of wands. If you associate air, fine. If I were to add more passion to it, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, does it go down a sexual route, or do I start listening to angry screamo? And if I do start listening to angry screamo, does it veer around to the sexual route, or do I start feeling true compassion and creativity somewhere? Where does the flame flow? Because fire is unpredictable. It can create, but it can also destroy. So if you think of a forest burning down, if it's a natural burning, because a lot of times people associate forest fires really bad, especially here in Colorado with me, because we had the Waldo Canyon fire. It literally almost burned down my job when that happened. I just got the job and it was going to burn it down. We think of destruction, but ritual fire is really cleansing as well because it burns away the old. That's why volcanic soil is so fertile. That's why ashes are so powerful. So think of it in that kind of sense as well. If you associate wands with fire. If you associate it with air, then think about communication and flowing and thought processes. How much of an Expelliarmus do I need to put into this wand in order to make some things happen? You know? Does that make sense? See, Anna says, sounds lovely, and ooh, Black Moonstone. Yes. Exactly. So, a couple other things to think about today. What sections of the orchestra or a genre sound wands to you? Is it more brassy? I think wands are more brass. Or is it more airy for you if you're into the Harry Potter crowd where it's mainly an air thing and then swords are more action? Is there a meaning that was hidden from you when you looked up to the lyrics of the song? Because we're thinking of lyrics again today too, so it's not just instruments. Because words are powerful, words can burn, and words have a lot of meaning behind them. So that's why whenever you do anything with the law of attraction or anything magical and you say something out loud, it gets it more oomph than if you just kept it to yourself and just thought it. Because you are declaring it. Same thing with writing it down. That's why writing swords, words, fire. At least for me personally. So how does the lyrics of the song, what the artist is expressing, influence this for you? You know? And then, as always, we have the workbook as well. Let me get the workbook here. So you have it. And there's a couple other questions in there. And again, if you have issues trying to figure out how to actually upload your playlist, you can do what I did, where I just took a screenshot of a playlist and I sent it like that. A couple people were putting up Spotify ones yesterday, which is awesome. Yay, Spotify ones. Some people put up YouTube music playlists. Some people just listed out the words. Go for it. Just as long as you have fun with it and create, especially today, it's all words and lyrics and instruments and action. Definitely go for it. And I can't wait to see what music you come up with. This has been so incredibly fun so far. Tomorrow, we're going to get into rhythms and percussion, and I have a surprise for you guys. I'm going to show you the back end of some secret stuff, so you guys actually see what I've been working on as well. So do you guys have any questions for today? Hi, Christina! This challenge has been so awesome. Thank you for hosting it for us and teaching us this magic. You're super welcome! And I love getting to know everybody like this, because there's something so intimate about knowing somebody's musical taste and what songs they associate with what, because you just learn so much about another person. It's wonderful. I love it. Yes, and speaking of that, Anna says going slow, but hopefully I'll get this done. This one, I realized yesterday, is a huge task. Usually people take a year or more to make a physical tarot deck, and I'm having you guys make a musical one in a week. I know, it's really overwhelming, and I apologize for that. I should have extended this out more. So if you have to take longer, because you guys have lives, and you have busy things going on, and some of you get drained just from looking up songs for one of the suits, it's totally okay. You can do this at your own pace. That's why you have the workbooks to print off and do whatever you want with, or to copy it and put it in your own journal. This is why those of you that are in the Corona Academy have this evergreen, so you can go back to this at any time. This is why this group is here, so you guys can collaborate and continue building it together. So it's totally okay if it takes you more than just this week. It's absolutely fine. And if you need help, just reach out. Make a new post, tag me, I'll be happy to help you. Christina, I agree, music can say more than words sometimes, and I'm always surprised at people's preferences. I know, it says so much about their personality. Anna says, oh, no problem, I'm having some free time ahead now, so I'll hopefully help out. If not, I'll shout for help. Awesome. Please do. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I look forward to hearing your Fiery Wand songs and seeing what you do with lyrics. And I love you so much. See you tomorrow. Bye.